Hello and welcome to Storyboard. I'm Shibani Gharat. Rana Barua, the Group CEO of Havas India, has now become the Group CEO Southeast and North Asia along with India, with an additional mandate for 9 other markets in the region under his leadership. We caught up with him and spoke to him about this new role, Havas Group's global leadership's vision for the region, his ambition to create one Asia for the agency group in the region, his take on agency consolidation, future of legacy agency brands and more. Listen in. There must be conversations on, the vision that Havas Group has for the region. If you can share that with us, what are some of the conversations that you've had with the global? And how are they looking at the region and how are they looking at India?
So I'll tell you what, so there are 2 or 3 key conversation points that I think one should factor. I think for us, naturally, you're right, the kind of exponential growth that happened in India in the last few years, we are actually now in the top 10 markets for Havas globally. So when I see it as top 10 markets means as a group and the entire network of companies that it has, we are naturally playing an important role for Havas overall, and the conversation point that is going to come up in the next 12 months about Havas, listing itself and conversations. So if I now add Asia to it, Asia naturally is going to be a very important driver. I think what we are figuring out very clearly is that we are not going to do a similar replica story what we did in India. That's not going to happen for sure. What we are definitely going to do is that India continues to grow. India continues to be a driver of center of excellence. India will continue to expand, build more agencies or build more expertise or continue to grow bigger. What we need to figure, and I think I have my alignment with the global team, is which are the markets which are going to have big strengths. For example, we know that there will be some talent, big advantages in markets like Indonesia, markets like Vietnam. We know that, markets like, Thailand is very strong in being a creative, that creative hello of Thailand continues. So I'm looking at that as a big conversation. I'm definitely looking at some very strong media properties in certain markets. I'm looking at Malaysia for certain reasons. So what I'm basically trying to do is, and I think this is where when I presented some initial ideas and thoughts with the global team and all, is that you see the markets in their specifics and then you build one Asia. So what I've created for the system is I'm not creating individual markets going to fend for themselves. I'm calling it one Asia, creating the expertise and tool across all these markets, and then going for clients or conversations to say, doesn't matter where they are, it doesn't matter to you. It's one Asia. There are 9 countries plus 1 if you want to tap into, but it's 9 Asian countries which are going to be working together and helping each other grow. So it's a one Asia strategy which I'm building versus a regional strategy.
And with Havas listing itself, you just mentioned, and then you also mentioned One Asia. What should we embrace for in the months to come?
Oh, you're going to hear, you are going to hear a lot of conversations of new agencies coming into fold. You will hear, hopefully, stories of some new form of expansion. You will hear of new launches. You're definitely going to hear of certain conversations of some acquisition conversations, some rumors definitely in the market already.
Yes, and over the past couple of years, we have seen one of your expansion strategies has been through acquisition. And, it has been a continuous acquisition strategy that you have followed, at frequent intervals over the past couple of years. If you can throw in some light on that, because I have to probe. If you can throw in some light on what are the areas and spaces that you're looking at, and also the markets. So specifically from the region.
It's very clear that both creative and media are going to be extremely active as networks in this region. Now, what we need to figure out, and that's where I'm facilitating the game, is that if I want to exponentially build the One Asia story with creative, there are few markets which are generically very strong in creative. So for me, it is very clear that I can do something in Thailand. I know I can do something in Indonesia. Do I have something to build right now? No. But if I get something strong enough, then these are the places where I know I can create a triangle for a creative strength. Like if I do a Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand story, I know I can cover that region well. So that's one conversation I've been thinking about. If I look at media, it can be from Singapore, and which can start building a larger thing. It can be around the world of data, which is what I'm looking at, data and tech. If I look at PR, I know that PR is going to be synced. So Red Havas is going to be an important profile for us to go there. I know that I'm looking at a certain market for Red Havas, and there is a conversation already going on. I know I can see a smile in your face, which basically I know you're trying to probe. But there are conversations because that's a strength I have.
Yeah.
It's an inherent strength which I've realized that I can bring on the table, which is get the right talent, get the right people, get the expertise. The only difference I'm trying to make, like I said, do not follow the story that India did. Borrow the best learnings that we can. Will India play a big support? India will play a big support.
Also, the largest talent pool, I believe, no, for Havas Group globally. India has one of the largest.
It has become one of the largest talent pools in India. We are close to now. Yeah, it's like close to 2,000, 2,500. We are, we are kind of thing. And there are some other conversations which is also happening in the India market. And if that comes true, then maybe the size may become bigger.
What does the new client or new business pipeline look like for us stepping into 2024?
So I think I was explaining it to my leadership team. For me, naturally, the way I look at it is that I look at it as sum of all parts, while individually there are so many companies which are working as their own new business pipeline or pitch pipeline or conversation. But what I'm excited about is that when I look at the overall pie, and we recently elevated somebody to the Chief Transformation Officer role profile, which means he is part of this whole group working directly with me to see what's happening across the 18 group companies. And I think one of the big gaps or lacuna that I'm seeing is that there are so many unique, individually large clients with each group company. If I look at PR Pandit, if I look at Pivot Roots, if I look at Showbiz, if I look at Think Design, now the moment I start seeing their individual clients, some of them are the largest clients, some of them are the finest clients in the country. The potential is that if we come together, which is what I want to do, and I'm really focusing on this year, is you can actually work with each other, and that's your new business pipeline. Because the businesses are within, and the businesses can be worked together. And because we are a smaller group, unlike many other larger networks, and we recognize that, I think it's easier for us to come together, to work together, because we are probably a bit more faster about moving into things. It's not that we are not looking at any new business pitches or not, and we are happy to get invites. But I think the conversation that's been going on for mostly the last few months within the entire Mancom is, why aren't we just working with each other more and fending off each other? Why are we killing ourselves on a pitch which sometimes take 3 months, 6 months to fructify, and maybe the results are never favorable, versus if I have a set of 10, 15, 20 clients with whom my relationship is fabulous, and I'm talking about I means the individual agency, and I can move certain businesses into PR, I can move something to Conran, I can get Havas people inside, or I get Showbiz inside. That itself is a pool which is can be individually, self-reliant. You don't need to really look out and look for, unless there's a pitch which really wants you to come and pitch.
Yeah. We live in an era, especially for the advertising business, with acquisition, especially for talent and leadership, comes the fear of consolidation within agency business, which has happened, at a large scale over the past couple of months. So tell us, how does Havas Group globally and, in the region look at consolidation?
See, for way Havas works, which is quite unique and unlike, let's say, other networks, is that we are very clear the way structurally it's 3 clear expertise, right? It's creative, it's media, it's health, and then it just fits everything around it. So we don't see it as individual group entities as names. So if you say Havas Creative Network, you will not hear of a particular agency or a network that gets more talked about than Havas Media Network or a Havas Creative Network. So unlike other legacy brands or networks where there are individual entities which somehow seem larger than the group holding, that is a big advantage for us. So when I go in for a global management leadership team, I go as Havas. I don't go as
a particular agency
or something. So I represent Havas. So for me, for the way that then mentally makes you believe is that while you have individual CEOs working, but they're part of a Havas Creative Network, which has probably in India 7 or 8 companies, Havas Media Network, which probably has another 6 or 7, 8 agencies, and Havas Health Network, which is right now got 1, but is planning to launch another 1 or 2 verticals under Havas Health. So then what happens is everything gets slotted somewhere in. So you may be part of Showbiz, or you may be part of Havas Worldwide or Havas People, but finally you're part of Havas Creative Network. So I think the consolidation happens at a higher level, and not so necessarily at a level where then have to consolidate or merge
Yeah.
or say, okay, what do I do with this brand? Because what will you merge? You can't merge creative and media. These are separate entities completely. And there's nothing to merge then within. You know, all you can then do is to launch another vertical. So you launch Havas Play. Then you say, okay, I don't have data and tech. What do? I launch Havas CSA under Havas Media Group.
So, Rana, being in this industry for so many years now, do you think the era of these legacy agency brands is behind us?
I will never say that, because it's part of the industry, and
But you don't follow it as a
I don't
group.
follow it. I completely. So that's what I'm saying.
So why are you staying clear of that?
No, I'm not saying that the era is over, but I basically believe, because see, there are 2 points to that. You have to be individually brilliant. So you need to have you need to be, for example, if you say that I'm of a particular school of thought, so there are certain strong creative agencies or certain media agencies, but I believe that very strongly it's the expertise or the talent or an expertise which shouts more than the individual names. If your question is that, do you see that these brands can slowly fade off and then will it survive? I think yes. So if I had to put up a holding company at the top and say, okay, do you have a creative agency and you're the creative agency? I think the client is fine. Absolutely fine. Because it's the expertise that you bring on the table. So otherwise, agencies or networks like ours would have had a humongous challenge and problem. I don't see that problem. I'm not seeing that challenge. Because they don't sign into a name. They sign into the talent that you bring on the table. So if I have the best talent on the table, the client will sign you on, whether you come from Havas or you come from a identified agency, which is whatever it be. Because I can still be the biggest winner at, let's say, at any ad festival as Havas.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter then.
Yeah, so Rana, 2023, it was a blockbuster year for you, to put it right. First of all, the new mandate as the CEO of, Southeast Asia and North Asia, and then also you were elected as the president of the Ad Club.
Yeah.
How do you balance both the things, being being the leader of a prominent industry body and an agency group?
I find it impossible, to be honest with you. It's quite tough. But on a absolute clarity, it's something in my head. My point is I enjoy both. And that's something which I've learned it the hard way, that if you enjoy something, it's like you run, you do, I keep looking at you and I get inspired, because you go for the most toughest of grueling conversations or interviews, you still manage to go running every day. It's because you enjoy both, right?
Yeah.
So I think what I figured is that if I enjoy doing what I do at Ad Club and don't see it as a daily chore or, oh my God, why am I here? What am I doing? I enjoy the FEs, I enjoy the MVs. I'm looking forward for the ABs. I know it's going to be a lot of issues and problems, but enjoy it.
But how do these two roles complement each other, according to you?
I think there's a tremendous amount of learnings that come out of it. Because if I see my last 5 years, and if I can take even 50% into the advertising club and kind of start showing, and you will see those changes, the kind of team I got in, the kind of people I got in to take over. There is Dheeraj who's come as vice president. I brought in a completely new bunch of people. I got Subbu in here, because I realized that the gaps that was happening. Because of running this ecosystem, I knew, okay, there are gaps of that there should be more strategic conversations that's happening. What is the creative impact that we need? Because what are you building? You're building talent, and you're building hope. And then vice versa, because when you're in the Ad Club, you realize what's going on. And you come back to your agency and say, is there something we can do?
So there is a lot of work cut out for you in the coming months for 2024. All the best for that, Rana. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Shibani. Thank you so much.
It is time for a short break. On the other side, we are catching up with MTR Foods' Sunay Bhasin on 100-year-old journey of this brand.